The economic calendar is jam-packed with the macroeconomic data in the second half of the week. Let's watch our video calendar on InstaForex TV channel to find out what events could impact on a trading sentiment. Later today, the US will release a report of crucial importance, the second estimate of the gross domestic product. The report will shed light on the extent of the damage from the pandemic to the largest global economy. In the first estimate, economists had expected a contraction by 32.9%, slightly better than the forecast of a 34.1% slump. Nevertheless, the fact that the US economy tumbled to a less degree did not cheer up market sentiment and pushed the US dollar down. The second estimate is going to be a little better than the first one. The question is open how market participants will respond to this upward reversion. Interestingly, on Tuesday, investors welcomed the news on the upgraded GDP for Germany. The actual data supported the euro. Perhaps the upgraded GDP for the US will also improve market sentiment on the US dollar. In fact, the GDP data will have short-term influence on market sentiment. The market is sitting on the sidelines of the Fed's annual symposium in Jackson Hole, with a focus on the testimony of Fed's chairman, Jerome Powell. The policymaker is likely to express a dovish rhetoric on monetary policy that will trigger sell-offs of the US dollar. On the other hand, if Jerome Powell confirms that the central bank is against imposing negative interest rates, this message will be bullish to the US dollar. The focal point next day will be a speech of the Bank of England governor. The trajectory of the pound sterling will depend on his rhetoric in a similar way. The positive outlook on the UK economy and hints that the regulator is not going to cut rates will reinforce the British currency. On Friday, investors will take notice of Canada's GDP for the second quarter. Investors will be able to judge how exactly the pandemic affected Canada's national output. Analysts warn that Canada's economy could have plummeted to minus 40% in the second quarter consequently, following an 8.2% fall in the first quarter. Nevertheless, economists project that Canada's GDP could have grown in June on a monthly basis. It will provide evidence that Canada has escaped from the doldrums, so the Canadian dollar will be in favor with investors again. Apart from the above-said events and reports, some other important events could influence market sentiment. On Thursday, the US Labor Department will release a weekly update on initial unemployment claims. Besides, traders are anticipating a speech by the Bank of Canada governor at the symposium in Jackson Hole. On Friday, investors will get to know a consumer climate survey for Germany from the GfK Research Group. Don't miss GDP data for France and the inflation on personal spending for the United States. You were watching Forex Trader Calendar on InstaForex TV channel with me, Kate Stichina. We wish you profitable deals.